In the opening line of Sefer Devarim, we find a famous argument between Ramban and Rashi. What does the word Devarim in the opening line of the book refer to? Eila Devarim, these are the things or the words that Moshe told all of Israel. According to Rashi, Devarim is referring to the words of rebuke that Moshe gives the people of Israel in his final speech. And Ramban, together with Ibn Ezra, claimed that the word Devarim is actually referring to the speech that begins in chapter 5 through 26, where Moshe teaches laws. So is the word Devarim referring to words of rebuke, like in the Navi Hosea, Chui Mechem Devarim, take the words of rebuke and return to God, V'shuv al Hashem? Or is Devarim referring like Aserta Devarim, like in the Ten Commandments? I'd like to suggest that both approaches make a lot of sense. I'll try to explain why. In the main speech in Sefer Devarim, which is from chapters 5 to 26, which is what the book is all about, Moshe Rabbeinu reviews a set of laws that he received together with the Ten Commandments on the first 40 days. In chapter 5, when Moshe begins his big speech, he tells the story that God made a covenant with us at Har Sinai. Hashem Elokeinu Kratim under Brit B'chorev. God made a covenant with us at Har Sinai to be a Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh, to be a nation in the service of God. And after we entered that covenant and received the Ten Commandments, the Aseret HaDvarim, the people beg Moshe Rabbeinu, we don't want to hear the laws directly from God, we would rather hear them from you. God agrees, and Moshe stays on Har Sinai, sends the people home, and God tells Moshe Rabbeinu a set of laws which apply the principles of the Ten Commandments to day-to-day life in the land of Israel. How to love God and fear God in Parshat Et Chanan and Ekev, how to set up a central place of worship in Parshat Re'eh, the Jewish holidays in Parshat Re'eh also, the laws of Shemitah Ksafim, our economic system. We have laws of a judicial system and a Supreme Court in Parshat Shoftim, laws about how we go to war and who goes to war and when we go to war, and laws of day-to-day society. If you notice, we're pretty much following the Ten Commandments in all the laws in Sefer Devarim. So Ibn Ezra and Ramban claim that the word Devarim is referring to the laws in the speech that apply the Ten Commandments to the principles in day-to-day life in the land of Israel. And hence, the opening line of the book, these are the words of the laws that Moshe taught Israel in his final speech. As Am Yisrael prepares to enter the land, they need to remember and review all the laws that they have to keep and set up as they enter the land and become God's people. The problem is, this speech, as the opening line says, Moshe is given many times. This speech was given now in Arvot Moav. It was also given in the Midbar. And especially, as Pasuk Bet says, Moshe taught these laws during the 11-day journey from Chorei, from Har Sinai to Kadesh Barnea. That 11-day journey was a journey to prepare the first generation before they conquered the land. Of course, the first generation, unfortunately, due to the sin of the spies, never made it. These laws became not applicable for the next 39 years. And now in the 40th year, once again, the new generation is about to have the opportunity to fulfill these laws, and Moshe has to teach these laws one last time. So even though Moshe Rabbeinu was taught these laws many, many times before, what's new about these laws to the new generation? So Ibn Ezra and Ramban say, Eila Devarim is referring to the same laws that Moshe taught 40 years ago. But Moshe has given this speech many times before. These laws in constant repetition. What's new in the speech, even though the laws are old, the rebuke that Moshe gives in the speech. Remember your 40 years in the desert. Remember what happened to Miriam. Remember the Man experience. Remember all the events that happened. Remember all the conquests that God did. Remember how you misbehaved. So what's the chiddush? What's new in the speech? Is it the laws that we're reviewing one last time? Or is it the new rebuke that Moshe Rabbeinu gives? So according to Rashi, to the people of Israel who've heard these laws many times, what's new in this speech is the rebuke that Moshe gives. The Devarim, the rebuke. To the reader of Chumash, what's new in the speech? This is the first time the reader of Chumash finds out about the laws that Moshe received 40 years ago in Har Sinai. Because when Moshe received those laws, he received them on Har Sinai, but the reader of Chumash never finds out about them until Moshe reviews them for the last time in Sefer Devarim. So therefore, both Rashi's approach and Ramban's approach make perfect sense. To the people of Israel in the 40th year who've heard this speech over and over again, as the first three psukim tell us, this is the last time they heard the laws, but this is the first time they're hearing this new rebuke of the 40th year. As Moshe Rabbeinu, their teacher, gives his final Chazorah share, his review, and adds a lot of great words of rebuke, as we always do when we give a share. But to the reader of Chumash, what's new about this book? Here's a set of laws that we never heard before. Here's a set of laws that have been taught before, but the reader of Chumash has never seen them before. And therefore, in a beautiful way, the argument between Rashi and Ramban is actually not, both are right. And what's beautiful about Sefer Devarim, we get laws that teach us how to become God's nation, but at the same time, we get rebuke of how we learn from our experiences, and we're going to grow as a nation. The new generation has to learn not just to keep the laws, but learn from the mistakes of the previous generation, hopefully improve on them, and enable the new generation to enter the land and establish a nation that will represent God and fulfill the goals of the covenant in Mount Sinai. Everyone should have a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom.